hero is anointed to fight has ended their fight in tragedy. All the heroes are dead. And the remaining mystics are just barely surviving. They just barely won the battle. And the final summoners clash in a final confrontation, pulling the last remains of all the mana from all the destruction. And the destruction begets destruction. And the goal is to be the last one standing and dominate the world. So, like I said, 2 to 4 players, various things. There are each elements, like nature elements, poison, or earth, fire, light, darkness. Each of those will have a section of name. And the first phase is to build a magic circle. There are a bunch of cards. They will be like a mana pool. These are examples. There will be a mana pool, and all people playing will get a portion of them, an equal portion. The idea is to pick a card, which will have a quadrant of a circle on it, and cast it in front of you. That will be your first quadrant, so everyone can see, and everyone can see the cards. They will then pass it around, so everybody gets equal information for the cards. And then the idea is to pass 4 quadrants of your circle, your magic circle, and each quadrant may have the same or different elements, as I was describing before. So the idea is to build up your magic circle to the way that you like, so that you can attack your opponent. So that's phase 1, basically. I also spun a thing where in the mana pool, there will be hexes. So in the middle of trying to set up your circle, you can say, oh, well, that card over there, you can't use that now, and then it goes in the center or something where you retain it. So for instance, say I had 2 fire cards as part of my circle, and somebody has already laid 1 on there so that I can't get 4. I can use a card that I picked up to grab that one and get more power. So that's the first phase, trying to screw friends, stuff like that. The next thing would be battle phase. So once everybody's circle is set up, you've got 4 quadrants on basically like this. You want 4 cards in your pack. There's another set of cards for phase 2. Phase 2 is you have 1 card for each of your opponents. You pick an opponent. It's going to be blind so that you're not really picking other friends too much. It's not too antagonistic. You put that one face down, so you've already picked a target. At that time, you decide which spell that you want, depending on what's available to you in the circle, and then the resolution of the attack. So, for instance, the resolution could be. Okay, that's it.
So, a couple things. Always, if possible, all of us are visual learners. If you could put this into a simple PowerPoint deck or whatever, it's going to come across much easier, especially in a room. There's some great ideas I got, but it was really hard to understand it all. Obviously, you're having to fly through for 3 minutes. But putting things down for other people to see visually, or actually the game set up already, for the judges to come over and talk to you and just see how it works, is just a much better way to present. And that's number 1. There's a whole bunch of other stuff about pitching, but that's number 1 is we all learn better visually to have it laid out and actually show us this is a much better way to go. No. And again, you're way braver than I am. I don't get up in a room in front of a bunch of people. Like the last time I did a talk, I spent a month working on it before I went in front of people. So please, I get to be up here and be very picky about it because I'm signing checks. And so the people signing checks are always very picky. So
thank you.
I concur with you, Justin. I was just going to add one more point. You have a lot of complicated game mechanics, so you need to also, I would just recommend in your presentation to simplify that as well. Because when you're doing the pitch, you get too in the weeds with your complicated game mechanics, you're going to lose your investor and your target audience because we can't, obviously in this format we only have 3 minutes, but we're not going to quantify. You've gone very deep into it, but it's really important to have a high level pitch for your data too.
Do you have a physical product? Because
not with me, I don't know. Sorry.
But you have it and you have playtested the physical product.
Yeah, I think it was
So beginning with why is your card game among thousands of game out there? Why is it cool? Why should I look into it?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Carlos Toguez with Oronet.
Hello. Hi, I'm Carlos Nogues. So let us step into the world of RNet, which is a real-time strategy game combined with a third-person shooter. What is so amazing about RNet is that you get to have the meta build of RTS with the action pack of a third-person shooter. And here we are going to introduce you to the world of RNet.
Time to exterminate.
So I only have 3 minutes. I'm going to talk over the video. This is
Ladies and gentlemen, doing this.
If you're going to talk over your video,
there we go. Okay, much better. Awesome, yeah. Because I only have 3 minutes, I'm actually going to talk over some of the video. So the first part that we saw was RTS mode. Here you get to go into the commander's shoes and you get to actually fight with your minions. So it's a combination of, like I said, strategy with real-time shooter mechanics, and you actually get to command other minions as well. So here we're going to look at some of the mechanics, where you get to tell minions where to go, and they get to destroy the enemies, the queen's units. There's also the turrets that you place when you're wearing queen mode. We have 16 weapons in the game, and we've actually did this for a game jam, and it's a very small team that has worked over a year to get it to the state that you see it in right now. So a lot of the weapons have also been play tested, run through in different scenarios. So each one of these platforms, basically the player will get to try out different weapons and different mechanics. So we introduce the player gradually to these different things. Other than that, yeah, so we did all the music, inspired by Sentai Works, very Power Ranger. And all of the graphics are also original graphics that was done by international team. So we have a couple people in New York, a couple people in the Philippines, and yeah. Cool. Here's where you go. That's my awesome routine.
The visuals look great. What engine do you use?
Unity, and we actually, speaking on the visuals, we've been really working on the frame rates of all of the different things. We actually have different frame rates for particular animations, so the loading of weapons, so that the loading, the moving, the minions also have like different frame rates to kind of give you this weird, like arcade feel to it. And we also have different builds that have done different style graphics for that.
This looks really great. I think you've done a really good job of presenting the game, even though it's not like a basic something really early. a couple of points that I would just probably maybe include into this is the state of the game, pre-alpha, or this early development, like you put it on the screen so everyone can see it when you're actually doing your pitch. And also, my only comment is, your pitch is great. I mean, the game looks really great. I just know what your ask is. So knowing what your ask is in your presentation would actually be really good. Like, where are you? What stage are you at? If you are beta, pre-alpha, or alpha, like, are you looking for completion funds? Like, what are you looking to do to get this completed, to get to the next stage?
And really quick on that, yeah, like I said, we've been working on it for a year. I guess we're still, it's just a self-published game, and we're just gonna put it out there on itch so people can play it.
Right. Great. Thank you very much. All right. So next up is Dan Williams with Dungeons Unleashed.
Thank you so much. I do invite the panel to go overhead and take a look at the actual components, because I can talk about them and it'll be a little bit easier. I'm sorry for you guys in the back, but if you guys want to come up later, you can actually see it there. Alright, my name is Dan Williams, and my partner and I have created a board game called Dungeons Unleashed. It is a 2 to 4 player, cooperative, asynchronous card game. And what it is, it's going to be 4 different dogs, each have special or unique abilities, and take on one of the archetypes of the Dungeons & Dragons team. Now, what they're going to do is they actually are battling through a dungeon, and our first dungeon features cats and kittens. So what happens is you have a dungeon deck, you flip over a card to enter the room. Then in that one, it'll have different dice, which you roll, and that will summon different minions, which are kind of easier to beat, or henchmen, which are the cats over here, and they have a little bit more health and a little bit harder hit, right? And what's going to happen then is you each take turns cooperatively to attack the different minions and henchmen, and once they are defeated, they go into the discard pile. Once you've defeated all the different villains in the room, you then go to the next room and complete the process. At the very end, you'll go to the boss door, and then you flip the big boss cat, which has a ton of health, and you have to work together in order to defeat him. If you defeat the big boss, you win the game, and you defeat the dungeon. Now, our different characters are going to be based on different dogs, and these are all dogs that we know, including Jolene, who is my own corgi. Basically, this game kind of came about because my partner plays Dungeons & Dragons all the time, and our dog likes to sit there and watch and listen. So we kind of thought, hey, what if they have their own adventures? And so all of these dogs are actually dogs that come over to our house, and they're our friends' dogs. So we decided this whole entire game, if they could actually go and have their own missions. Now, the game is asynchronous play, which does mean that each different character has a different unique mechanic. Think kind of Roots board game, where each different faction plays slightly differently, but the only difference is each one of these is cooperative together. For example, Jolene is our paladin tank, so she has the taunt ability, so she can actually take damage. Say for our pug, who's named Piggy, who's our glass cannon black mage. So she can actually use mana crystals to activate better cards. So each time she plays a card, she gets a mana crystal, and then she'll actually use those to play better cards. We also have Shion, who's a summoner. She summons her friend from a different plane who's a ghost called Tally. And what she does is every time she actually does a trick, then she gets a treat. So think of like a dog treat. So these can actually help heal or help damage. We also have Ben, who has the jets, so Ben and the jets. And he's our bard, and he summons mechanical creatures that come up, and if they're backup band. So you can activate those to add in special effects like healing or different damage. Or since they're made of junk, he can actually go through his discard pile and help get the cards back as well. That is Dungeons Unleashed. If you guys want to try it later, we do have a table actually in the board gaming section over here. We're going to be down there at 6 o'clock for some playtesting. Next stop for us is Gen Con next week, where we hope to meet publishers to help partner with to get our game made. And thanks for listening, everybody. Thank you.
Actually, this is a well thought out game as far as like the presentation and all that. So kudos on that and like what you have so far. The art looks great. You have an artist.
It's actually temporary AI art because we're publishing it. We're trying to get a publisher to do it, so we are going to wait for them for funding.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we went to a couple board game panels here and they said, don't spend your money on initial art if you're going to be doing publishing.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't go that route.
Well, that's
Yeah, all the graphic design though, I actually did myself.
okay.
Just not me.
Yeah, I would be upfront that like,
Oh, yeah.
the person would do that because I was wondering if you wanted to do this.
Yeah, of course.
We can chat later and meet at Gen Con, maybe. It looks cool. The theme is cool, and you know it. That a lot here is riding on the cuteness of it. So that's a big positive, I think, and that's a big driving force. So from a publisher perspective, my next question would be, how does that stand out among other like card deck building cooperative games like Aeons and, for example, one of come up with other examples. Like, give me a comparison. This is better than that one because I know I said it for the previous game, but I think that's really important. Cool theme, and then one cool mechanic to quickly and we can talk.
That's good. Thank you so much.
Just quickly say, one of the things that people I think underutilize in the pitch is a bit of humor, right? Where everybody's in the room, everybody's so serious, everybody's trying to get money. The fact that you incorporated humor, obviously the love of dogs. Most people like dogs, but not all of it. I think that's super important. The character and the personality comes across quickly, and even if I'm not a huge fan of a complex Dungeons & Dragons board game, it's still interesting to me because of the humor and the kind of lighthearted nature. So overall, great job. I won't get into the cost. I'll let somebody like him figure that out, but that's fantastic.
This is not a doesn't look okay.
Thank you for your pitch and your presentation. It's very good. I'm not a big card player. I'm more of a casual card player, but I'm also a team dog for life. So as you were talking about your neighbor's dogs coming over, I thought you were going in the direction, and this is where we can collaborate on something. I thought you were going to say the card game incorporates the dog to help them play and help to go along. So it's like the dog can sit down and play the game with you, or it's like you can like have a card game that helps you train your dog as you play along with them. I mean, you know.
There are board games like that.
Dogs
One time we just bought called Wolf.
Well, there you
That's,
go.
you play it with
There you
your
go.
dogs, they get over it. It's kind
There you go. All right. That's my 2 cents, but thank you. I love dogs.
Thank you very much for your time.
Good job.
Next up we have Amanda Cow with My Abundant Life.
Somebody brought the adapter.
Teamwork. Yeah, right.
Bonus points.
Get him back up there.
So there's a great sample for your pitch.
Not usually easy, but it's a big story.
Oh.
Always bring your own connectors in case whoever you're pitching to doesn't have them.
If you want to just hold it and go to stand right, yeah, feel free.
This isn't necessarily a game pitch to seek funding, but this is just sharing my vision and seeing what I think would stick to the market if you guys have any advice on that. So, I would like to introduce you to the vision of my game called My Abundant Life. It is a garden sim where you get to transform your garden from this to this using the principles of permaculture. So permaculture is pretty much just a more organic way of gardening using the mechanics of nature itself to make a low maintenance, abundant garden. And I'm hoping with this idea I can bring the coziness back into the farming sim genre. Reasons why I think permaculture would work great as a theme for a gardening sim game is that it has very similar elements to what we already have in farming sim games. It's just that instead of using artificial things like fertilizer or pesticides, we use the mechanics of nature itself to achieve those things. And at least on my side of the socials, homesteading and making your own garden has been really popular ever since the pandemic. So making a game that can kind of educate on that subject on how to make your own successful garden, I think would be very popular. And it also will hopefully give a fresh new aesthetic to the farming sim genre. As you can see, in most farming sims, once you get to a certain point in the game, you kind of get to this min-max hole where everything just looks like a big old square of stuff. And it's not that pleasant. So I'm hoping with new mechanics using the area of permaculture, we can have a more natural, beautiful garden, even when you're trying to min-max the game. Now, one of the things that permaculture uses for successful gardening is companion plants. So lots of plants tend to work well together. Some can work as pest control for others. Others can even make your crops taste better. And I want to further incorporate this by bringing out the flowers, which are the unsung heroes of farming sims that are often discarded due to not being very profitable in farming sim games. But having mechanical strength in making them as useful pest control plants can beautify your garden while also making sure you get those extra gain efficiency points. I also want to incorporate this idea into the recipes. So I want to make the game a lot more about the cozy farm life of having a garden, which includes getting to reap the rewards of having a good meal from your efforts. And also, you can't have a farming sim game without animals, so you have your trusty chicken that also have mechanical benefits of being a natural fertilizer, pest control, and even tilling your garden, because a dirt bath can do good for your chicken and your garden. And I'm hoping with other mechanics and flourishes, I can make this game very homey and just very charming and educational. Thank you.
So I really like your presentation. I think, for those of you who can't see there, it looks really, really great. I think what you've done with the presentation is really nice. Obviously, I know you mentioned that you're not looking at this as a game pitch, but one of the questions I would probably ask for you, if you want to go in that direction, is figure out, do a little bit of research on your demographics. Obviously, you're a woman, so I think maybe this might be more female-oriented, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. The other thing I'm wondering when I look at your pitch is, do you have different styles of gardens from all over the world? Because that might be a really, really great kind of feature or addition to it.
I was just going to say, I think timing is important, so I do think the interest in home gardens, natural stuff, being able to grow your own food really increases the pandemic. I love the style, I love the idea, obviously you're passionate about this as well. Obviously turning this into an actual functional game, finding the audience for this is a whole different piece you want to talk about. But overall, it was fantastically done. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I could hear the various rabbit holes of knowledge you were just trying to touch upon. So I would say be mindful of scope, because if you're doing everything on your own, you can only do so much in a certain amount of time. But also, it's an interesting concept, because I'm trying to explore botany myself a little bit, but I have no green thumb at all. But it would be cool if there was a way to virtually have like a test kitchen to see if I did seeds and water, would an actual plant in real life actually germinate from what I'm testing in my test kitchen. So if there'd be a way to maybe apply that, but that's it. You're welcome. Yeah. Another rabbit hole.
Yeah, sure. Right. Thank you. With that, we're gonna move on to the next one. Okay, we have two more. So next up is Noah Jacobson with the World Myth Tour.
I don't really have any big visuals, so I'm just going to have to show them. Okay, so the main premise of World Myth Tour is that there's this strange corruptive force from another dimension and it appears in your kingdom, and it's spreading out throughout the world. And so you play as a nameless knight who's trying to find the source of the corruption and destroy it. I intend for it to be a console game. or Souls like gameplay, like Dead Cells. Here, I could draw some NPCs for the game, and they're all right in here. So, yeah, I did actually make some animated parts to show you guys. So, one of the reasons behind it being, one of the reasons that I wanted to make this game was because I'm always interested in mythology. I always found it an interesting subject, and so I thought that maybe if I put European mythology into a game, it would kind of inspire people to look into the actual mythology behind the monsters that I put, because that's something that happened with me once when I saw like D&D Tarrasque and D&D Vargas. I always kind of got curious about if the actual monsters that should have those names, and so I thought that maybe it would like inspire people to like learn more about other cultures and their mythologies.
Obviously, it's a very early idea that you have presented here. Your notebook brings me back to many of my notebooks when I was designing my games. Actually, I designed a card game about the Norse mythology. So it's also inspired me. But just pitching notes, have those visual out there for people to see. And the idea behind it is that you want to inspire people to look into the mythology as good on its own, right? But then again, how it will be unique among other properties that are out there that do that, right? So, like, there are big games, small games, medium games, card games, video games that do that. So what unique you want to bring to that game?
Actually, I'll echo that sentiment as well, but I think for that pitch, I mean, it's not a complete pitch. I think you should have a little bit more meat into that idea. Like you said too, there's got to be uniqueness to it, and we kind of need to see that.
Mythology is one of my passionate subjects, especially world mythology. So I like the idea, I like the concept behind it, obviously it's very early. My question to you is, you might want to think about, if you're doing sprites, how much can you get articulated into sprites in that kind of format? Because world mythology has a lot of nuances. When you're talking about different gods, you're talking about different creatures, animals, that kind of thing. So just want to